Brother Justice M.R. Shah, or as I call him every morning, Tiger Shah. In the words of Ubaidullah Aleem, may I say, Mukesh bhai, आंख से दूर सही दिल से कहाँ जाएगा, आंख से दूर सही दिल से कहाँ जाएगा, जाने वाले तू हमें याद बहुत आएगा. I know he is not a very great lover of Western music, but I am, and I can't avoid making a reference to Bob Dylan. And Bob Dylan says in one of those beautiful words which have been sung by him, when the winds of changes shift, may your heart always be joyful, may your song always be sung, and may you stay forever young, may you stay forever young. Brother Justice M.R. Shah, or as I call him every morning, Tiger Shah. It was an emotional morning for me as well, apart from for Mukesh bhai, coming off the ceremonial bench. I had begun the emotional ride, so to speak, when I was talking to him 2 days ago in the morning, when I said that, I'm misty-eyed when I'm thinking of the fact that you're going to be demitting office. So he said, but well, this is the way of life and we all have to get used to these ideas. But significantly, even on the ceremonial bench today, he was as ready with the last matter as he would have been 2 years back or 3 years back when we were sitting in the court together. I was much faster than usual because I was sitting with Brother M.R. Shah. And as we got off, I said, now I'll pretend to be M.R. Shah so that I can run through the rest of my board with ease by lunch, which was not to be. I was back to my usual self, slow and steady. My first engagement with Justice M.R. Shah was in 1998, a couple of years before I became a judge of the Bombay High Court, when I happened to be engaged as Solicitor General, Additional Solicitor General of India in the Gujarat High Court. And we were both going to appear together. We were appearing for the government. And I realized when I landed in the court that I had forgotten my gown in Mumbai. And it was just about 2 minutes before the court was to assemble. So he was not one to be unfazed, and he is never unfazed with events in life. So he just caught hold of his junior, who happened to be a young woman lawyer, and said, please hand over your gown, he has to wear, the Additional Solicitor General has to wear the gown. I'm not sure whether the gown was lucky or otherwise, but at least the matter was attended to by both of us. From his early years as a lawyer in the 1980s, where he handled a variety of litigation, civil, criminal, service, labor, and after more than 2 decades of practice, he became a judge of the Gujarat High Court. While serving as a judge of the Gujarat High Court, that's when he really picked up his grounding foundations, so to speak. He spearheaded various initiatives as a judge to take legal services to the grassroots and emerged as the stellar judge that he is today. As executive chairperson of the Gujarat State Legal Services Authority, he promoted an inclusive legal system to secure justice. He marshaled awareness campaigns across the state of Gujarat, particularly in backward regions such as Banaskantha and Dahod. In 2018, Brother was elevated as the Chief Justice of the Patna High Court after serving for nearly 14 long years as a judge. Now, Justice Shah is not an MBA, as they say in Gujarati. In Gujarat, MBA means Mane Badu Avde Che, which translates to, roughly speaking, I know everything. But when you are a judge of the Supreme Court, you have no choice but to know everything. If you speak to Justice Shah, you will realize that he can strike a conversation with you on almost any topic under the sun, from global affairs to the latest movies. He will discuss the plot of a movie with you and even criticize it for bad screenplay or direction. Once I asked him, when does he find time to watch the movies at all? And in his own inimitable style, he said, I only read about the movies and the reviews in the newspapers. He's always eager to learn and assimilate the newer ways of life. We came together to share the bench during COVID times. Those are very difficult times. Every morning we would assemble in our respective offices at home at 10 o'clock because we knew we couldn't be discussing matters in the court sitting next to each other. And we didn't have the breakout facility on the video conferencing platform in the initial few days. But between 10 and 10:30, both of us would sit down and go through the entire cause list and the entire board and decide prima facie what we felt about the matter. Of course, we had not decided what we'll ultimately do, but we shared that 1/2 of an hour trying to discuss what the issues in the case were, each case were. What I found in Brother Shah was this eagerness to write. Every time I even offered that maybe he could scribe a judgment, he was more than happy to write a judgment. But one of the best compliments, believe you me, I've received in the last 7 years, and it's been exactly 7 years on the 13th for me since I became a judge of this court. One of the best compliments which he gave me was at the end of the sitting, when he said that, I've learned one thing from you, that's the ability to suss out which cases should be converted into causes and to write to evolve the law. And it's not necessarily the big cases in which you do that, but the smaller cases which you sort of evolve. But I have learned so much from him. He would return every draft which I sent him overnight. Rarely did a draft rest on his brief overnight. I was surprised that even the Constitution bench judgment in the Maharashtra case recently was returned to me in less than 48 hours with an annotation at the bottom. He would prepare a judgment as quickly. He rarely took more than 48 hours to even write his own judgment, which he returned to you so promptly. In 2021, when I began sharing the bench with Justice Shah, by then I had adopted a paperless mode of working and was using a laptop for reading cases, all the case files, and making my own notes. Justice Shah was still using hard copies of the files he was accustomed to then. I tried to persuade him to start using a laptop and an iPad for his judicial work, and it is really a credit to his receptive and sporting nature, both receptive and sporting to my mind, that he was open to learning technology and using it to access case files and documents. It was due to the cooperation of Justice M.R. Shah and my other sister and brother judges that we were able to conduct paperless court proceedings in the recently concluded Constitution bench matters. He on my right and Justice Krishna Murari on my left, they were furious in their work speed on their respective laptops. In fact, Justice Krishna Murari seemed to suggest that he was still good for another half a dozen Constitution bench judgments on the electronic form. Justice M.R. Shah was, of course, all set on his laptop. Justice Shah has the courage and the fighting spirit of a lion. Last year, all of us were rather worried when his health deteriorated during his trip to Dharamshala in Himachal Pradesh. When I called to inquire about his health, I was pretty shaken up because I could only hear the sirens of the car which was escorting him to the airport. But I heard at the other end of the line his familiarly chirpy and energetic voice informing me that he was fine and that there was nothing to worry. Justice Shah recovered soon enough and was back doing his judicial work when the court resumed for the term. Justice Shah has truly inspired us all by exhibiting an unwavering commitment to the cause of justice. Mukesh Bhai has an amazing sense of humor, which I'm sure all of you have either witnessed or participated in. He has the unique ability to look at the humorous side of life. His funny quips and anecdotes lighten the courtroom atmosphere even during the dark days of the second wave of the COVID pandemic. I've had the opportunity to share the bench with him on several occasions now. Many a time when we were in the midst of lengthy and dull proceedings in the courtroom, it was his wit that enlivened the courtroom. I remember one particular incident when we had both been rather upset with the poor printing quality of the impugned judgment which was circulated to us by the advocate on record, with the watermarks which were then used by most high courts. So I blurted it out and I said I had such a headache reading this 150-page judgment. And then in his own style he said, "You at least had a headache. My headache would not even disappear with tiger balm which I used last night." All for the entertainment of the lawyers. In fact, after our bench broke up, I got a handwritten note from one of the journalists who does the beat reporting in the Supreme Court that, "Sir, the entertainment bench in the Supreme Court has just been concluded." At the Supreme Court, Justice Shah has had a notable career. During his tenure, Justice Shah has played a crucial role in delivering justice in a speedy and efficient manner. He has been pivotal in laying down jurisprudence in matters of criminal law and procedure, arbitration, taxation, service, family law. You just name the area of law and his imprint will be found on that branch in the last several years. As a judge, he was a part of many important cases, including constitution benches, as we know, in Indore Development Authority, and the recently concluded Delhi NCT and Maharashtra matters. He himself authored the decision of the Constitution Bench in West UP Sugar Mills Association. As his colleagues at the Supreme Court, all of us have benefited from Justice Shah's kind nature and generosity. When we were both sitting in the flank courts, court number 9, 10 and onwards, which very fondly are referred to as the Noida courts by the judges, on our way back from the Noida courts, he would always make me wait at 1 o'clock near his chamber, and he had a bowl of M&M chocolates, and he would put a fistful of chocolates into my hand and say, "Now you can go to your chamber." I still have to send him the bill for the weight which was never shed. But Justice M.R. Shah's entry into the collegium on 9th November 2022 coincided with my own appointment as Chief Justice of India on that day. He entered the collegium simultaneously with my assumption of office. He has been a solid colleague for me in the collegium, full of practical wisdom, full of advice, full of very mature, grounded and middle-of-the-road advice. Sometimes how to tackle others, whether on this side or the other side. But he was full of excellent advice, which helped us very greatly when we made the first 7 appointments, almost in a short span of time. Today I stand here to bid farewell not only to a colleague, but to my dear friend as well. Mukesh Bhai, we will miss your candor, humor and wit on the bench. But more importantly, we will miss a colleague who was our constant source of support and encouragement. I will always cherish the great memories that I shared with Justice Shah, both on and off the bench. Justice M.R. Shah is a devoted son, a devoted father to Vihangi, but above all, a devoted spouse. I personally know about the solicitous care and affection with which he looks after the welfare of his father and mother. Never is there a conversation between us when we don't speak about his parents. But I must also recognize the important role played by his spouse, Dimpi Shah, who gave up her time in his company in Delhi over the last 4 years to be in Ahmedabad to look after his parents. Their house in Niti Bagh, not our Niti Bagh here, but the Niti Bagh in Ahmedabad, is an oasis of warmth, friendship and positivity. When his daughter Vihangi was to get married recently, Justice Shah was not the one to allow his work as a judge of the Supreme Court to suffer. He managed to look after all the personal details of the ceremonies as the father of the bride without compromising on his own dedication to work as a judge. when his spouse was to recently undergo a knee replacement surgery. Justice Shah was zipping in and out of Ahmedabad to be with her at a crucial time, consistent with the workload in the Supreme Court. Years ago, we traveled together to St. Petersburg with Chief Justice Gogoi and Justice Ramana and our spouses for an international conference. It was a sheer pleasure to spend several days in the company of this wonderful couple. But above all, it was really interesting because his favorite takiya kalam, as you all know, all of you know what our takiya kalams are. His favorite takiya kalam is correct. Before I conclude, I would like to quote the following words which have been sung by one of my favorite singers. I know he is not a very great lover of Western music, but I am, and I can't avoid making a reference to Bob Dylan. And Bob Dylan says in one of those beautiful words which have been sung by him, "When the winds of changes shift, may your heart always be joyful. May your song always be sung, and may you stay forever young. May you stay forever young." So Justice Shah, may you stay forever young. Or closer home, in the words of Ubaidullah Aleem, may I say, Mukesh Bhai, आँख से दूर सही, दिल से कहाँ जाएगा? आँख से दूर सही, दिल से कहाँ जाएगा? जाने वाले तू हमें याद बहुत आएगा.
लीगल रिपोर्टर के सभी वीडियो को देखने के लिए लीगल रिपोर्टर को सब्सक्राइब करके बेल आइकन बटन जरूर दबाएं